Hey guys, we took off last week for the Passion Week, but it's Wednesday and we're back. And it's time for another Against the Wall. Here we go. We'll look at today. And the first one is in 1 Samuel chapter 18. And here's what it says. It says in verse 11, it says, "And Saul cast the spear, for he said, I will pin David to the wall. But David escaped his presence twice." Then if you look over in chapter 19, in verse 10, it says, "Then Saul sought to pin David to the wall with a spear, but he slipped away from Saul's presence, and he drove the spear into the wall. So David fled and escaped that night." So what we see here is Saul had become very angry, very vexed in spirit. He would have David come and play music whenever he was began to get tormented or tortured in spirit, or started just really getting bothered. And so he would David would come play for him, and we see that he would get angry, and he decided he wanted to kill David. He got angry partially because the saying that was going around is Saul killed his thousands, David his 10,000s. He was jealous of David, and the only way he knew to stop him was to take a spear, drive it through him, pin him up against the wall, and call it a day. But we see that David fled every time. Now, if you go back to it, each time before it talked about the fact that David would play music for him, and then Saul decided to spare him. So, I guess there could be an argument to be made that he just didn't like David's music. Okay, maybe not. But what we see here is that his anger would be kindled, and he would get angry, and he'd want to kill David. And even in the second passage, he decided to give his daughter to gave his daughter to David to marry, and yet, he thought that would get David off his game, off his kilter, and that way he could take care of him and he would be done with him. But we see that that never happened. That Saul ended up getting killed in battle, and David became the king. So when you think about it, sometimes we have to look at it like this. There are those in life that always just want to pin us down or pin us against the wall and simply just be done with us. They try to find ways to shut us up, shut us down, but we know that God is always on our side. If you think about it, this verse goes perfectly with the saying that goes with this video, and we'll finish up with that. But we all have instances where there's people who just don't like us, who don't want to attack us for our beliefs, for who we are. But remember, David trusted God every time. He was known as a man after God's own heart. And as we see that he put his faith in God, and God always took care of David. I think sometimes we want to put faith in ourselves. We want to be able to say, you know what, I'll deal with those people. I'll handle it my own way. David fled every time. He just got away. Matter of fact, there were several opportunities that David had to kill the king, but he said, I will not put my hand upon his anointed, because God made him king, and it wasn't David's job to take him out. Even though Saul tried to kill David so many times, David never sought revenge, because he knew that wasn't God's will. And I think that's another thing we can take away from this lesson today is a lot of times when someone hurts us, when someone comes after us, we want to retaliate. We want to go back after them. That's human nature. I've done it. You've probably done it. That's just the devil saying, hey, you know what? If they're going to do it to you, you need to get them back. But that's not how God works. That's not what he desires of us. And so the next time you're being attacked, the next time that someone's trying to pin you against the wall, remember to trust in God, to know that he'll always provide an escape for us, but at the same time, his will is always perfect for us. So sometimes we need to be more like David and less like Saul, and not worry about what others are doing, not worry about how others feel, even if they got something against us, but knowing that God has a plan and we're going to trust in Him. Like I said, it really gives meaning to the saying, when your back's against the wall and it's got you feeling small, don't worry. There's a verse about that. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, we'll see ya!